I get it, you're staring at a dozen laptop listings, wondering which one will actually let you game, work, and maybe even binge-watch without ending up with a brick of heat and a battery that dies after an hour. You've probably heard the hype about 13th gen power and 32 gigabytes of RAM, and are asking yourself if all that really translates into a smoother experience for the games you actually play, or if it's just marketing fluff that ends up costing you more than a decent desktop. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started digging into the HP 15.6-inch touchscreen laptop, the first thing I checked was how it stacks up for the kind of gaming sessions most people actually have. A mix of modern shooters, a few open-world titles, and the occasional indie game on the side. The specs: Intel Core i7 13th generation, Intel Iris A graphics, 32 gigabytes RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD look solid on paper, but the real test is whether the laptop can keep its temperature under control when you push it for an hour straight, and whether the fan noise stays tolerable enough to hear your teammates. I ran a few real-world scenarios. First, I launched a recent Battle Royale title at medium settings, which is where many gamers find the sweet spot between performance and battery drain. The laptop hit around 55 frames per second, which is perfectly playable, and the frame rate stayed consistent for the full 45-minute match. The heat rose to the upper mid-range of the chassis, but the fan kicked in at a level that was noticeable without being obnoxious, more of a gentle whir than a roaring turbine. That's a big plus if you're in a small apartment or sharing a room, because you won't be shouting over a screaming fan every time you reload. On the flip side, when I cranked the same game to high settings, the Iris A started to struggle. Frame rates dipped into the high 20s, and the fan noise climbed noticeably, turning into a steady hum that could be heard across the room. It's not a deal-breaker for casual gamers who don't need ultra-high settings, but it does tell you that this machine isn't built to replace a dedicated gaming desktop for graphically demanding titles. If you plan to play the latest AAA releases at max settings, you'll likely feel the need to lower the graphics or consider a laptop with a discrete GPU. Battery life is another hot topic, especially for a 15.6-inch machine that's marketed for business use. In a typical office workflow, email, spreadsheets, video calls, a few tabs of research, the battery held out for about 6 hours. Throw in an occasional gaming session, and you're looking at roughly 3 to 4 hours before you need to plug back in. That's realistic for a device that's juggling both productivity and light gaming, but it's not something you'd want to rely on for a long road trip or a day of back-to-back matches. The touchscreen is a feature that often feels like a gimmick on laptops, but on this HP model it actually adds value for a specific set of users. I tested it while sketching out a quick wireframe for a client presentation and while navigating the Windows 11 Pro interface during a video call. The 15.6-inch FHD IPS panel responded crisply, and the touch latency was low enough that drawing or scrolling felt natural. Gamers who enjoy titles that support touch controls, think strategy games or certain indie puzzles, will appreciate the extra input method. However, if you never intend to use touch, you're essentially paying for a feature you won't leverage. Keyboard feel matters a lot when you're gaming or typing for hours. The HP's keys have a short travel distance with a soft, almost rubbery actuation, which feels comfortable for long typing sessions. For gaming, the short travel can be a double-edged sword. It's fast for rapid key presses, but the lack of tactile feedback means you might miss a keystroke during intense moments. I found that adding a thin gaming keycap overlay helped a bit, but it's not a built-in solution. If you're a competitive gamer who relies on a clicky, high-travel keyboard, you might prefer a machine that's purpose-built for that. Portability is often a deciding factor for laptops that try to juggle work and play. At about 4.4 pounds, the HP sits on the heavier side of the travel-friendly spectrum, mainly because of the larger battery and the robust cooling system. It fits into a standard backpack, but you'll feel the weight if you're commuting daily. The HDMI port, Wi-Fi 6, and the inclusion of HP's Copilot AI voice recorder are nice bonuses for business users who need quick connectivity and voice-to-text capabilities during meetings. Those features won't change your gaming experience, but they do add practical utility if your day swings between spreadsheets and a quick multiplayer match. Now, who should actually consider buying this laptop? If you're a professional who needs a reliable Windows 11 Pro machine, appreciates a responsive touchscreen for presentations, and wants to dip into gaming without buying a separate console, this HP hits a sweet spot.